Okay, so welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we're tackling something that I think we hear about all the time, right? This idea of comfort zones. And, I think it's something that we hear a lot about, stepping outside your comfort zone. But I think what we're going to try to unpack in this deep dive is this idea that comfort zones are always a bad thing.
Right.
Because actually, the whole reason that we decided to do this deep dive is because we found this audio clip that kind of sparked this conversation. And it's a pretty interesting take. It pretty much just flat out says that good things never come from comfort zones.
Wow.
Let's actually take a listen.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the clip.
All right.
Your thought of the day.
Ooh.
Good things never come from comfort zones. Pretty provocative, right?
It's just kind of like, is it really that simple?
Yeah.
Right.
Comfort zones exist for a reason. They feel safe, we feel comfortable in them. But then I think about, all the amazing things that people have achieved when they do actually push past those boundaries.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if there's a balance here.
Yeah. And it's interesting, it's kind of like this whole idea that you have to completely abandon your comfort zone kind of ignores the fact that there actually can be some benefits to having comfort zones. I mean, think about it, right? Like comfort zones, they provide stability.
Yeah.
Predictability. They allow us to conserve our energy, right? Like mental energy and kind of focus on other tasks.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because it's like you wouldn't want to be constantly questioning your ability to, drive a car or to, cook a meal or something like that. Like, those are things that because they're within our comfort zone, it kind of frees up our minds to be able to focus on other things.
Right.
But at what point does that familiarity become a detriment?
Yeah.
At what point does staying comfortable actually hold us back?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting too, because it's not always clear cut, right? Like where that line is. And there's actually some really interesting research, that talks about this idea that, our optimal performance actually comes from this sweet spot.
Okay.
Of, not too much stress, not too little.
Interesting.
And it's called the Yerkes-Dodson law. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that.
Yeah. And so it's this idea that like a little bit of stress can actually be good for us.
Right.
I mean, think about, like when you're maybe a little bit nervous before a presentation or a big game or something like that.
Right.
Like, that can actually help, sharpen your focus a little bit and actually improve your performance.
So it's not about eliminating comfort zones altogether. It's about being mindful of how those comfort zones are serving us.
Exactly.
And when they're not serving us and maybe they're holding us back, that's when we step outside. Right. So for our listener out there, what are some signs that maybe their comfort zone is becoming a problem?
Yeah, I think one of the big red flags is complacency.
Okay.
Are you kind of just coasting through life on autopilot, avoiding anything that feels challenging or uncertain?
Yeah.
And if so, you might be missing out on some really great opportunities, for growth and development.
Yeah, I was reading about a study actually that showed that people who regularly engage in activities outside of their comfort zones reported higher levels of creativity and just overall life satisfaction.
That makes sense.
It's almost like by challenging ourselves regularly, it kind of keeps our minds and our spirits more and resilient.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's not about just, seeking discomfort for the sake of discomfort.
Right.
It's about, we need to be strategic about it.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're in a career rut,
right,
maybe it's time to, consider taking on a new project or learning a new skill, even if it feels a little intimidating at first.
Right. Or, maybe putting yourself out there socially a little bit more.
Yeah.
If you're feeling kind of lonely or isolated.
Yeah. That reminds me of this idea that I was reading about this growth mindset, where it's this idea that our abilities are not fixed.
Yeah.
They can be developed through effort and challenges.
Absolutely.
So it's like, instead of saying, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this yet.
Yeah.
And I think pushing past those comfort zone boundaries is how we get to that yet.
Totally. And it's that willingness to embrace, the discomfort that ultimately leads to personal and professional growth.
Absolutely.
And I think the big thing too is recognizing that, that discomfort, it's part of the process. Right. It's not a sign to give up. It's a sign that you're stretching your capabilities and moving towards something new.
So the takeaway here isn't to avoid comfort zones at all costs.
Right.
It's to be mindful of them.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
how are they serving us?
Yeah.
And when we notice that they're holding us back, that's when we step outside.
I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with just one final thought
Okay.
as you're, navigating your own journey.
Right.
Ask yourself, what's one small step that I can take today to challenge myself,
I love that.
even in a really minor way?
Yes.
It could be something as simple as trying a new recipe or, striking up a conversation with a stranger
Right.
or just tackling a task that you've been putting off.
Yeah.
Those small acts of courage can lead to surprisingly big results.
Absolutely. And you never know where they might take you.
That's right.
So get out there and get a little uncomfortable.
I love it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.
Awesome.
Take care.
Bye.